Have you ever watched Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, I saw that.
What did you think of that film?
Not much.
A Justice Department investigator calls it terrifying, an epidemic. They're known as serial killers. There are at least 35 of them roaming the country now.
Are serial killers born or made? These men brought unspeakable horror into the lives of Americans in the 1970s. Their names still haunt America today.
Serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, son of Sam.
John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy.
Diabolical genius, deceptive, manipulative.
Many have been executed, but one of them is still alive.
He had the darkest eyes I have ever seen.
He can put on the mask of Bernard Eugene Giles, but when you take off the mask, he's the monster.
I want to know how these men think and why they kill. And now, finally, a serial killer willing to confess all.
Are you proud of the label serial killer?
One summer in the early 1970s, a young couple moved into this trailer park on the east coast of Florida. Bernard Giles was just 20, his wife was 18, and they had a newborn daughter. Neither his family or his new neighbors had any reason to suspect that Giles was harboring a deep compulsion to kill.
See the trailer with the carport structure? That's where his trailer was.
Sunday afternoon was my laundry day, and it just seemed like I ran into him so much in there. Oh, it's the same. I can't believe that. He would be sitting up here, I usually get those down there.
He never said a word. He would
No,
just sit.
never. And he'd be sitting here and just dangling his legs and just looking.
Wonder why he would sit in here.
I don't know. Because I don't think he ever had any laundry.
Bernard Giles has been in prison for 45 years. After a long period of contact, he's finally agreed to meet me.
Mr. Giles, good to see you.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Come and sit down. Bernard, thank you for giving us the time today.
Yes, sir.
You're serving 5 life sentences for killing 5 young women. So my first question is, did you kill those women?
Yes, sir, I did.
Let's go back to your early life. With most people that commit heinous crimes,
Yes, sir.
you can normally point to something that doesn't justify it, but might go some way to explaining it. The curious thing about your early life is there doesn't seem to be anything there. There was no appalling upbringing. You were one of 4 kids.
Yeah.
You were well taken care of.
My brothers and sisters have done well.
You were loved as a child.
Yes.
And was the driving force for that compulsion, was it violence? Was it
Sexual.
It was all sexual.
It was all sexual. And that's the thing, it's like people who, they become imprinted before they're 5 or 6. I knew the roots of mine. I knew where it came from.
Where did it come from?
The initial sexual imprinting was an act of violence against a girl.
You were 6 years old and you were playing just a game of witch hunt,
Yeah.
where a girl would pretend to be a witch and you
Right.
would all chase after. She
Right.
was a neighbor of yours.
Right. It was in a back bedroom. And the part that I remember was straddling her and strangling her, right? Playing. And that was my initial sexual imprint. From that point on, as a child growing up, I became obsessed with this.
The term itself, serial killer, was not well known back in the 1970s. However, later we started seeing these terms come up in the detective magazines and other kinds of TV shows. But mostly we believe that the serial killers happened somewhere else.
Bernard Giles was one of Florida's first serial killers. He terrorized an entire community. In just 12 weeks, he murdered 5 women. 2 of the bodies were found just yards from his trailer, where he lived with his wife and child. Bob Telfer was a young state's attorney at the time. He discovered their remains. It stayed with him ever since. So Bob, when you found these 2 bodies within 2 days, it must have sent a shudder through everybody.
Well, back then, and of course it was a different time and a different place, and girls were hitchhiking. It was a common occurrence to see that up and down the road, particularly in a small community like this. All that stopped overnight. There was a shudder that went through the community. There was publicity about this. The hitchhiking stopped, and people started looking over their shoulder.
What this man did, Bernard Giles, to these young women was just appalling.
It was, and you know, it's every parent's nightmare to realize that the last few moments of her life were terror-filled with a psychopath, and she was going to die at a young age. Just makes it even worse.
Throughout his childhood, there were no outward signs that Bernard Giles was deeply troubled. But into his teens, he was failing at school and dropped out. And then, one day, his obsession took over.
When you were 16, there was a young woman walking in front of you, and you suddenly felt an urge to kill her. Tell me about that.
It was like an opportunity that had presented itself to me. And this woman was getting into a VW, and I had a knife, and I went past the car, and fortunately I kept going. I just kept going.
What were you feeling in that moment?
Extraordinarily hyped.
And what were you thinking you may do to that woman?
Well, if it had gone the other way, I'd have murdered her.
At the age of 16?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's a chilling thing to hear. This is not, I'm sure you recognize this, this is not a normal
I understand that.
None of this feels normal.
Sir.
You're 16 years old and you have just this extraordinary compulsion to kill this woman.
Yes, sir.
But it passed, you moved on.
Yes, sir. It just wasn't overwhelming. It didn't, you know, it was just, and I didn't. I just kept moving.
And if you hadn't kept moving, that woman
would have been murdered.
And she would have no idea to this day, I imagine.
No, she never even glanced back at me.
You wished you had killed her?
No, I don't. I'm glad that I didn't. I wish I hadn't killed any of my victims, you know?
Were you in any doubt at that stage that one day it would happen?
No, no doubt at all.
You knew this was something you had to do?
Yes, sir. It was, for me, this was my life's passion up to that point.
To do what?
To murder women.
I mean, there'll be viewers watching this going, this guy was apparently normal, late teenage guy. He's got married, he's got a little baby girl. Life seems fine, and yet ticking away is this horrific time bomb.
And that's very frequently been the case, that you have people that they present as perfectly normal.
You know, you're looking for these sort of trigger points. Where is that trigger that what happens. And it may very well have been the stresses he felt in being married, being a 19, 20-year-old guy with a child. And really, you can see him here. He's not really equipped to be dealing with marriage, let alone a baby. This probably caused a tremendous amount of stress for him. And I'm not surprised that these killings started really within a month or two after the birth of his child.
In October 1973, Bernard Giles drove out of this trailer park onto this highway. His intention? To hunt down and kill his first victim. He was looking for hitchhikers, unsuspecting girls, who, back then, never imagined accepting a lift from a stranger would get them killed.
That day that you went out, when you did kill for the first time, was that a morning when you woke up and you were with your wife and daughter and something hit you and you went,
No.
today may be the day?
Every day may be the day.
Every day?
Every day may be the day.
Do you know the name of your first victim?
No, sir. Not now. Nancy Jerry.
Do you know anything about her life?
I found out later she was a singer in a bar. That was it.
Tell me what happened.
Picked her up in Titusville. There's a wooded area, and I pulled off the road.
What did she look like?
A little shorter than me, fairly well built, pretty but not particularly pretty, brown hair. That's about it.
And at what point did she realize that you were going to harm her?
Well, not necessarily that I was going to harm her, because most of them don't assume you're actually going to kill them. Most of them assume it's a rape or something like that, or a robbery or whatever, And
had you been talking normally to her?
Yeah, but there wasn't much to the conversation. The weapon speaks for itself.
And what did you then do?
I told her to get out of the car, and that's when she became afraid. Up to that point, I assumed that she thought it was just going to be a rape. I walked her over in front of a tree, and then I shot her.
Just like that?
Yes, sir.
And what were you feeling as you did that?
Very stimulated, very provoked, the thing is, what is your passion in your life? What is the thing that you like to do more than anything else? And you're doing it. You are so there that it's like you can see the atoms vibrating. It's difficult to describe.
Giles is relatively unusual in that he started, his age of onset for the serial killing was age 20. He's unusual because he did a spate of 5 killings within 3 months with almost no cooling off period. That's highly unusual. Usually mid-20s is the advent of the first acting out on the fantasy. There's a long cooling off period of at least a month before the second one. He was acting almost in a frenzy. He was too young and too immature to put enough thought into his crimes to get away with them. There was no way it was sustainable. So it was almost like a childish urge to get as much fun crammed into a short space of time as possible before he got caught. Because inside, he knew he would eventually get caught.
Once Bernard Giles started killing, he made little attempt to hide the bodies of his victims. Their discovery was now making daily news headlines. Titusville, a city where 1 million visitors had come just 4 years before, to watch Neil Armstrong blast off to the moon was now the focus of a desperate manhunt to find the killer.
Ladies, you were all young women. You were all in your early 20s at the time that this all happened. Take me back to life in the area at the time.
Well, this was a sleepy little town right across from the Space Center.
Exactly. And it was, everyone wanted to come here because of the Space Center, the launches and everything. But where we lived in Mobile Manor, it was a really nice area.
The moment you realized that Bernard Giles, he was this guy that lived in that trailer opposite you, what impact did that have on you guys?
Devastated me.
I was stunned. I was like, whoa, look how close this guy was to me. I could have been one of his victims.
What was your criteria for a victim?
Access.
To any woman?
Yes, sir.
Did it matter how old they were or what they looked like? Or?
Generally speaking, no.
It could literally have been any woman that happened to stray into your orbit.
Yes, sir.
When you were cruising in your car and they were thumbing a lift.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that made you at the time an unbelievably dangerous man for any young woman.
Yes, sir. See, I'm not defending the position. I'm describing the position. It was what I was and where I was at.
Were you aware that there was now a hunt for what police began to realize was a serial killer?
Not really until, I had known that they had found a body.
And that was Paula's body?
Yes, sir. Probably, I guess.
Paula Hamrick was a single mother of two, heading to work one day when Bernard Giles stopped to offer her a lift. Her body was found here. She was his oldest victim, at just 22. Her two boys, Stephen and Billy, were just toddlers at the time.
He knew she had kids, but I'm sure she pleaded for her life and told him that she had two babies. And like I said, that answered my question. He obviously didn't care because he killed her anyways. I think it was about 12 years old when he went to my mother's gravesite.
The first victim, you remember the name, but do you remember the names of any of the victims?
No, sir.
None at all?
No.
They meant nothing to you?
Why would I do that? Why would someone embrace the names of of their victims? I saw these women as objects.
This woman, Paula Hamrick, who was a mum of two young kids who've never known their mother. If she'd thought to humanize herself to you, she might still be alive. But she didn't, so you killed her.
Yes, sir.
This is Carolyn, very young.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember these faces as I show you them?
No, sir. Truthfully, I don't.
14, this girl. As was this one, 14. Do you remember her?
No, sir.
You don't really remember any of these girls by face?
No, sir. Some women actually saved their lives by engaging me in conversations.
How many?
3 I can think of right off. I actually went to the home of one. It got in a conversation about smoking marijuana. She rolled up a few joints. We drove around the neighborhood and smoked one, and I let her off at her house.
And what were you thinking you may do to that woman?
Well, if it had gone the other way, I'd have murdered her.
For a guy like this, really, what's important for him is what he wants. And what he wants, he's going to get. I want to kill these women, and I want to have sex with them. And when I'm done, I'm just going to leave them right there in the dirt because I don't really care about them. And then I'm going to go back to my wife, and they won't know any difference. I won't have any change in emotion.
What I struggle with you, you kill 5 women, but all the time you're going back to your marital home.
Yes, sir.
With Leslie, your wife, and your daughter, Heather.
Sure.
How are you functioning in normal married life in this extraordinary 12, 13-week period?
Badly.
What do you mean?
I don't know, it was just, as this thing's taking me over, I'm kind of disintegrating as a person. Me and my wife are fighting all the time. I'm out. It's obsessions take you over.
Did you get any urge to kill your wife?
No.
Never?
No.
Why not? She was there, she was a woman.
I knew her. You know, I never killed anybody I knew. That thing about objectification of the victim. For me, that was an important element.
Do you remember doing that?
No, sir.
Well, it's 45 years since you have probably seen that.
May I see this for just a moment? This is a little strange for me because I recognize elements of my own style, and yet I can't remember doing these, honestly.
You definitely did it.
No, that's strange. For real.
I mean, that one there, for example.
Yes, sir.
When you look at it, notwithstanding the fact you can't remember it very well, but it's a very macabre image.
Yes, sir, it did.
A young woman, you have a sort of devil-like figure at the top there, skeleton.
That's not a woman.
That's not?
No.
Or is that you?
I don't know.
You had long hair at the time, right?
I had long hair at the time.
So that could have been you, in fact.
It could have been me.
It's got needles, it's got snakes, it's got skeletons, it's a very macabre...
Not a happy scene.
Right. Right.
Giles drew these pictures at the time of the murders. But had there been any early warning signs that might have alerted people to what was coming?
You were at school with him, you hung out with him, every day you saw this guy.
In junior high school, 65, 66, nicest guy you'd ever want to meet.
I mean, we hear this a lot, don't we, with people that do heinous crimes. Often friends will come out and say, oh, he was such a nice guy. But you mean it.
I mean it sincerely. He was just a sweet, young, artistic, gifted, nice guy.
When did you last see him?
It was probably, and I believe that he might have already been killing people then. It was on the river.
Did he seem different to you?
Yes.
In what way?
He was very intensely working on a drawing, and it was pretty dark. I looked over and I saw a tree and some roots, but in the roots of the tree was a female body being engulfed in the tree.
Wow.
In any of the psych reports, all of them describe him as sane. All of them describe him as in charge of his faculties. He's not psychotic, and he's not mentally ill. He's in touch with reality. He clearly understands this concept of right and wrong. And we know he understands it because he made a conscious effort to take these women to a remote location where he wouldn't be discovered and kill them. If he didn't understand the concept, he probably would have just picked him up and then killed him right on the street in front of everybody. He chooses to do wrong because that's what he wants to do.
It seems that Giles was able to hide his true nature from everyone that knew him, including his new wife, Leslie. They'd been married for barely a year when the killings began.
Let me just take you back to just before you first killed. You meet a woman, you fall in love, you get married, her name is Leslie.
Yes.
Tell me about her.
Good woman. Good woman. First time I ever saw my wife. She was a friend of my sister's. She had just made friends with my sister. And it passed through the living room. I was sitting there watching television. And when I saw Leslie, I knew I was going to marry her. You know, there have been numerous instances in my life where it's just, I know something. I just remembered that, you know, that's the one right there.
Do you remember how you proposed to her?
Over the phone.
That was it?
Yeah. Not very romantic.
You're a young man, but you married this beautiful young woman, family there, it all seems...
Normal.
Yeah. Did it feel normal to you that day when you got married?
Yes, sir.
But you would have sex with your wife? You had a
Yes,
normal married life in that respect?
Yes, sir.
And did you feel like you loved her?
Yes. But truthfully, I didn't, you know, I did love her. But, I was completely obsessed with this other thing. And I didn't really realize how much I did love my wife until the last time I ever saw her through, half-inch bulletproof glass,
During the killings, his wife was at home caring for their baby daughter. Giles would leave the trailer each day to train as an electrician. But in the afternoons, he would cruise the highways looking for hitchhikers. The police still had no suspects and no leads.
There was a fear factor, and as a result, people were locking their doors, and people were trying to gather more information from the newspapers and from television, which carried very little, but they were following it very closely, but they were still afraid. What's even more scary is it wasn't somebody traveling through, because victims were localized. There had to be someone responsible from within. So who could it be?
And normally when we'd have any kind of a murder or something, within 24 hours they had a suspect. They knew who they were going after and pretty much were right. And I remember a lot of times during that period, it got to where I was working like 7 days a week, and it was driving them crazy that it was taking so long to figure this one out.
When I would be on my lunch break or go home from work, I would see some young girls hitchhiking, knowing there's already been 2 or 3 murdered. I would just pull over, roll down my window and say, "Hey, don't you girls know what's going on?"
The killings had begun in October of 1973. By December, 3 bodies had been found. And then the police discovered the remains of Sharon Weimer. She was just 14 years old. But what is baffling about this murder is where he killed her.
Bob, what strikes me about this location is we're so near to the trailer park where Bernard Giles lived with his own young family. And the body was so easily discoverable. This is a very brazen serial killer. He's almost like crying out to be caught.
In a way, yes, but in another way, you get hunters back in here and everything too, so that the sound of a gunshot wouldn't necessarily tell everybody around that something unusual like that is going on. What we discovered was that there was jewelry there, a necklace and maybe a bracelet.
And quite identifiable jewelry.
We strongly suspected, the police did, that this was Sharon Weimer. And we left, and at the residence were siblings plus her mother. And we showed them the jewelry, and very, very sad. I mean, The kids are crying. Mom's on the couch in denial. No, it can't be that. It can't be that. And the kids are saying, no, Mom, it is, it is. And that's how we got the identification. That kind of stuff sticks with you through the years.
I mean, two of your victims you took back to within a few hundred yards of where you lived. What was your thinking in doing that?
I wasn't thinking. There's no logical reason for having done that.
It's quite a high-risk thing to do, I guess.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing my best thinking at that point in time.
You didn't really care?
Well, they have an expression here, basically off the chain. I was, like I say, I wasn't doing my best thinking.
After each killing, that need to feel that again is there, and it's urgent, but it's even bigger. We see this with so many serial killers. With each one, they have to come up with some new angle to make it more violent, more horrific, more hands-on, more personal, make the victim younger, make the victim beg. They have to try some new angle to keep that thrill alive. But of course, this isn't sustainable. At some point or another, they either get caught or they become so frenetic that they have no choice but to screw up and police find them.
And that is exactly what happened with Bernard Giles. 12 weeks after the murders began, he made a crucial mistake along this isolated road.
When you were finally caught, you tried to pick up two girls at the same time.
Yes, sir.
But it feels like it was an escalation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I was getting worse.
That's where you made your big mistake, because they got away. How did they get away? I mean, you had a gun?
The gun misfired. I had hit one of them with the gun, and it discharged. It jammed inside the gun.
And that's when they ran off?
That's when they ran off.
They got away having seen a form in your car which had your name on.
A book.
They saw a book that had a name in it, and the name was Bernard Giles. I checked files, and it gave his address.
Inspector DeWitt come in and he says, you gotta listen to me. Listen to me good. Keep your doors locked. Do not answer it. He says, we're going to make an arrest in these murders. I said, here? He said, yes. I was shaking. We could have been the next victim.
And did you panic?
Basically, yeah. I didn't know that they actually had my name. So about the time that I get home, the police are setting up, and they got me.
I wasn't the only one who peeked out our door to see him when they brought him in to the area. And he was evil. He was Satan personified.
When you were caught, was it a relief?
No, it wasn't a relief.
Were you angry because it meant you probably wouldn't be able to kill again?
No, I wasn't angry. Life got very complicated.
How did your wife react to you being arrested?
Well, at first, she wanted to stay with me, but I basically understood that I was over. I was done with.
But did she ask you if it was true?
Yes, sir. And the first time she asked me, I lied to her. She knew I had problems.
But not this kind of
psychological. She just didn't know how deep it was. I'm sure she must have suspected. I mean, not that I had done that, but after I'd gotten arrested, that, yeah, okay, that's him.
We've been talking now for over an hour. but I was yet to see any real sign of emotion from Bernard Giles. So I wonder, how will he react when I show him a picture of the daughter he hasn't seen in 45 years?
You seem, when it comes to real emotions,
Yeah.
pretty cold. I mean,
Yeah, I get that a lot.
when was the last time you cried about anything?
Braveheart. I saw the movie Braveheart,
When?
1998, 99, someplace along in there.
20 years ago.
Been a while.
And why did that make you cry?
Hollywood presents this, really pristine picture of a human being, what you sort of wish you could be. This perfect human being. And I was basically crying because I was mourning my life.
Bernard Giles was just 20 when he was caught. He avoided the death penalty by agreeing to confess to all 5 murders. But he will die in prison. Soon after the killings, his wife and daughter left the trailer park and moved out of the state. He would never see them again.
You lost a wife, you lost your daughter.
I lost everything.
You lost everything, yeah. What, was it worth it, this? I mean,
No, of course not.
and do you know what happened to your daughter?
What is
Have you
it?
ever heard from her?
No, sir.
How does that make you feel?
What can you do with that?
We had a picture that there.
Yep.
What do you feel when you see your daughter?
I don't know exactly.
When you look at your own daughter, that age, smiling, innocent, happy, what do you feel about the young women you killed?
I don't put those together.
I mean, what would you feel about a man who snatched your daughter and terrorized and raped and killed her?
I certainly wouldn't appreciate it.
That's it? That's how you'd feel?
Like I said, I certainly wouldn't appreciate it.
You've never apologized.
To who?
Who do you think you should apologize to?
Let me ask you a question. I assume that to the families of the victims.
I mean, it should be incumbent on you as the perpetrator of the crime to work out who you think you maybe should apologize to. I mean, you killed, by your own admission, these 5 young women. Who do you think you owe an apology to?
If I were going to apologize to anybody, it would be the families.
Have you ever done that?
I don't feel I have the right. How do you get a letter in the mail from the person who killed your daughter, right? Hey, I'm sorry.
They may well be watching this, those families. I mean, if you look at that camera, if they are watching, what would you say to them?
I really don't know what to say, truthfully.
I mean, don't say it to me, say it to them.
What do you say to somebody that you murdered a member of their family?
Right.
I don't know.
Isn't the very least you could say?
Is I'm sorry?
Isn't that the very least you could do? Is just to actually
Of course I'm sorry. The fact that we're having this conversation in this way, yes, I'm sorry.
Here's an opportunity for you to speak to the families of these victims. What would you say? What's your response? He doesn't say anything. He just says, what can I say? I could say I'm sorry, which isn't even saying I'm sorry. It's basically saying that's what I could say, but what does it mean? The question is, what can you say to the victims' families? In other words, make a connection here. Give us a small piece of your soul to the victim's family. He couldn't do it because I don't think that he even has that capacity.
Titusville lost its innocence through the acts of, we called him Bernard Eugene Giles. We always used the 3 names. We started looking at everyone in a suspicious manner, and we started locking our doors.
This guy lived in our area, had been schooled in our area, and he did such a horrible thing. Not once, but many times. From then on, yes, I knew what a serial killer was.
I'd probably like to sit down and talk to him, and say, where'd you go? Why'd you do this?
He says it was just a compulsion that he had to kill.
Yeah. Wow.
When you finish here with me, I'll go back to my normal life. And when I go back to my hotel room this afternoon, I'll feel quite unsettled by this encounter. When you go back to your cell later, having talked about all this today with me, will you have any feelings about it, really?
Probably.
And what are they likely to be?
Truthfully, I have a great deal of respect for you. And it unsettles me just a little bit that you have such a monstrous view of me.
I have a complicated view of you because to me now, if I didn't know what you'd done, and we had a regular conversation about stuff going on in the news, I would imagine we'd have a perfectly normal, rational,
of course,
and probably quite interesting conversation. But it's very, very hard to get past what I know that you did to these girls.
I understand.
It's very hard.
I understand.
Not to feel a sense of just utter revulsion.
Yes, sir. And I understand that. I understand all of that.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, that was one of the most extraordinary encounters I've probably ever had with anybody, because on one level, he's obviously self-aware about what he did, because he's just prepared to admit everything. What he can't do is what I suspect the families of these victims really want him to do, and that's explain it in a way that could bring any kind of closure to them. I just feel in the end that their loved ones, these poor girls, were just in the wrong place at the wrong time and met an unbelievably dangerous person. And it's as simple as that, and as heartbreaking as that.